Welcome everyone to day 3 of MBA Spotlight here on GMAT Club. Thank you for coming back if you've been with us for the first few days. And if you haven't, welcome. So today, we've got Jibbi and Amit from the India School of Business joining us to give us a rundown of what the program is like and why you should consider applying to it over the next MBA application cycle. So I'm Linda, I'm a moderator here at GMAT Club. And I will be just mentioning a few things before I hand over to Jibbi and Amit. So the first thing is, can you please like this video and subscribe to the GMAT Club channel so we can continue to offer you guys great advice to help you through the MBA application journey. Number 2, there will be some app fee waivers that are going to be provided. So there'll be a link posted in the chat function to the right of the screen. So if you just kind of like head over to there, register, and then we're going to be picking out some names at the end of the session. When it comes to the Q&A session, so we've got a mix of questions. Some questions have been submitted prior to the session on GMAT Club. And then if you've got any questions as the session progresses, feel free to add them to the chat function to the right of the screen as well. I think one more thing, yes, I'm remembering now, if there's any questions that we don't get to, because I'm sure there's going to be a whole load of questions and we're going to try our best to work through them in the session. But if there's anything that we don't get through, there's going to be a Zoom session at 10 a.m. Pacific that people can dial into to kind of like answer any further questions that weren't answered in the session. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Jibbi and Amit to give you an understanding of what an MBA is like at ISB. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for having us here. Welcome, everyone. My name is Amit Tyagi. I am the Associate Director for Admissions and Financial Aid at the Indian School of Business. And today I'll be talking to you on the PGP program at ISB, which is an MBA equivalent full-time program at Indian School of Business. So to begin with, ISB was established in the year 2001. And when we were being established, we did not want to reinvent the wheel, but learn from the world's best and bring the world's best in management education right here in the heart of India, in the world's fastest growing economy. And that's when we chose Kellogg and Wharton as our founding associate B schools. And they helped us in, setting up the processes, the curriculum, sharing the faculty members, and building the institution in the first initial few years. As we progress in our journey, we wanted to also be recognized as a research-focused B school. For any great institution, it's not just a knowledge disseminator, but also a knowledge creator. And that's when we partnered with London Business School and MIT Sloan School of Management to bolster our research capabilities. And moving forward, we also partnered with the Fletcher School at the Tufts University for its unmatched expertise in law and legal environment. And that's where we get our strength in public policy from, which is one of the specializations which we offer our students in the PGP program. Now, our efforts towards building the institution over the last 2 decades have been very successful, and we are now recognized as among the world's top B schools currently. So the FT Global MBA Rankings 2021 have ranked us number 1 in India, number 5 in Asia, and we are the only Indian B school in the global top 25 at number 23. And we are also ranked number 3 globally in terms of salary increase post graduation. So if you compare the pre-ISB salary of the cohort versus the post-ISB salary, there's a 173% increase in the for the cohort of 2020. Apart from that, we are also been recognized for a research focus. In the AMA 2020 Research Productivity Rankings, we are ranked number 1 in Asia and number 40 globally. SCM Journalist ranks us number 1 in India and among the top 100 globally for the last 5 years. And we are also among the only 100 B schools in the world currently to have the Triple Crown accreditation, that is accreditation by the top 3 accreditation agencies of ACSB, Equus, and EMBA, which gives a wide range of acceptability for ISB credentials all across the globe. Now, moving forward, I would like to talk about 5 key things which a B school aspirant should look at in while choosing a B school, and how does ISB stack up on those factors. So we will talk about our faculty. We'll talk about a learning model. We'll also talk about the network which you'll be part of if you join the Indian School of Business. And we'll all have touch upon the world-class facilities which we offer to our candidates who study across our two campuses in Hyderabad and Mohali. And finally, we talk about the career opportunities which we make available to our students when they graduate from Indian School of Business. So when we talk about the faculty, even though we have 70 plus teaching and research faculty members across our two campuses in Hyderabad and Mohali who teach a contemporary curriculum, but we also have a pool of 200 plus visiting faculty members from top global B schools. And these faculty members teach a complete course when they come to ISB. So they visit ISB for a complete term and teach a course which they teach in their respective universities at ISB. So with this, what happens is that you learn from the world's best faculty right here in the heart of India, and our students have access to the world's top teaching talent right here across our two campuses in Mohali and Hyderabad. Now, two examples come to my mind. One is Mr. Edward Rogers, who till recently was the chief knowledge officer at NASA, and who now has his own startup. And as chief knowledge officer at NASA, he dealt with complexity day in and day out. And at ISB for the last 10 years, he's been teaching a course called Managing Business Complexity. So imagine learning complexity from a person who works in that area at the world's top space agency. Another example is Mr. Krish Subramaniam. He is the current chief economic advisor to the government of India, and he teaches finance and economics at ISB. So imagine learning finance and economics from a person who advises government of India on financial and economic matters. So that's the kind of teaching talent we're able to bring to for our students due to our portfolio model of visiting faculty, what we call it. Uh, Moving on, let's talk about our learning model. So, of course, we have a four-tiered learning model. Classroom learning is very important, and we use case methodology for teaching students in a classroom. We offer students 10 specializations across 8 terms, of which 6 are functional focus and 4 are industry focused. Uh, the 8 terms are spread across in the sense that in the first 3.5 terms you study 14 core courses, and in the next 4.5 terms you take between 17 to 21 electives, for which you have an option to study from more than 80 plus electives. We also have a focus on applied learning through something called an experiential learning project or ELP, where students work on a live uh, case or live problem with an organization. And this is a for credit program wherein you solve a live industry problem, working on it for 3.5 months along with your classrooms. You work virtually and get to spend a week explaining your findings and preparing an implementation roadmap at the organization. We also organize study treks at 3 levels: uh, international study treks, domestic study treks, and social sector treks. For entrepreneurs, we have something called Plan an Entrepreneurial Venture, a course which prepares you to be an entrepreneur once you graduate from Indian School of Business, and you can also be a part of our incubation centers once you graduate from the program. In terms of peer learning, we offer around 50 plus international exchanges, both inbound and outbound, which ensures that you have exposure to your peers from all over the world, wherein you get to spend a term abroad, and other peers from other top business schools get to spend a term at Indian School of Business from the fourth term onwards. We have a lot of professional and social clubs which ensure that campus life is vibrant, and the residential nature of the program where all of the students stay on campus ensures that you learn round the clock, right? There's always something happening on the campus which you can be a part of and learn from. You are spoiled for a choice in terms of learning events which you have on campus. Events and competitions, so ISB organizes its own events like Advaita, which is a case study competition, ISB leadership series, which are talks by eminent people, and Bandhan, which is a social sector event organized by our students every year. So this is what the academic calendar looks like for the current class, which has started from 5th of June 2021. It's a full 51-week program wherein we have 8 terms. The first term is a digital head start module, which is of 10 weeks, and remaining are 5-week terms with a week for career preparation, a week for placements, which is immediately after your fifth term, and there are also a week each for study treks, experiential learning program week on site, and we have Solstice and Equinox, which are our cultural festivals which are held across both Hyderabad and Mohali campuses. So this is a digital head start module structure, which is the first 10 weeks of your class. This is held on an online platform, specially customized for this purpose, where you take 6 easy-paced core courses in digital format, which are for credit and ease you into the rigors of academics at Indian School of Business. Apart from this, you are also be exposed to leadership development through a lead program, which we offer to students in the DHM. There are other activities like orientation week for 2 weeks, ISB perspective series where you interact with top alums from all across the world on this platform, and you also will be part of co-curricular activities, learning events. All the international exchange sessions and bidding sessions will be happening on the digital head start module in this year as well. This is what a class looks like. This is for the class of 2020. The class of 2021 will be releasing the stats shortly, where in terms of the various profiles, the gender diversity, we have 62% males and 38% female candidates. Our GMAT range is between 600 to 780, and 710 is the average. GRE range is 313 to 338, and we have around 57% engineers versus 43% non-engineers in our class, making us one of the most diverse campuses in India, if not in Asia. And we also have an average work experience of 4.6 years. Now, one thing to note here is that we follow philosophy called one school, two campuses across our two campus in Hyderabad and Mohali, and the figures in black are for the overall school. Figures in blue are for Hyderabad campus, and figures in green are for the Mohali campus. And you'll notice that the figures are consistent across our two campuses, and we ensure that the students get the same academic experience, student experience, and learning experience across our two campuses. So whether you are at Hyderabad or Mohali, you'll still get this same ISB experience in your 51 weeks at Indian School of Business. Moving on, the differentiators. So, what differentiates a top B schools from others? It's the research. So, at ISB, our faculty members are engaged in wide ranging research across topics, and we have set up 4 research institutes at Mohali campus and 5 centers of excellence at Hyderabad campus, which work closely with industry, and the faculty members work on practical applications of research along with the solving the industry problems, and all this get factored into classroom teaching through cases also which the faculty develop. And also these research centers and centers of excellence offer uh, executive MBA courses for industry industry executives, ranging from duration of 6 days to 9 months. For those of you who are planning for entrepreneurship post your ISB journey, one of the specializations which we offer to our students is entrepreneurship, and we also have 2 incubation centers across both our campuses. There is the Atal Incubation Center in Mohali and D Labs in Hyderabad, wherein you can, after you graduate from ISB, you can give your proposals. If you are selected, you will not just be given space in the incubation center, but you'll also be given a stipend for 12 months to sustain yourself. You'll be offered investor connects and mentorship by the ISB ecosystem to help your startup take off from ground stage. And while you're at ISB, you can also be part of this program called Plan and Entrepreneurial Venture. So this can you can start building the blocks of your business even while you are at Indian School of Business, and then take it forward to fruition while after graduation through the incubation centers which we have at ISP. Now, moving on, I want to talk about our 2 campuses. So we have 2 campuses in India. One is in the north, northern part of India in Mohali, close to Chandigarh, the capital city of Punjab, and other is in the south of India in Hyderabad, the capital city of the Telangana state in southern India. And both the campuses we follow a philosophy called one school, two campuses, which means that in terms of admissions, you don't apply to ISB Hyderabad or ISB Mohali, you apply to ISB. Yes, you can give your preference which campus you want to study in, but it we'll try to give you a preferred campus. But in certain cases, to maintain parity across two campuses, you may have to study in one of the campuses which we allocate to you. Also, in terms of placements, the companies are not aware of which campus you're from. They look at you as ISB students, and placements happen alternatively in different campuses. In one particular year, it happens in Mohali. In another particular year, it happens in Hyderabad. And all the students from one campus fly down to the other campus for the placements uh, 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 together as ISB students. Also, there are a lot of faculty exchanges, exchanges between two campuses, and student from one of the campus can spend a term at the other campus to get a feeling of the other campus as well. So I'll just play a small video which showcases life across our two campuses, showcases the philosophy of our one school two campus policy.
Hello, Amit. We can't hear you. I think you're still on. Your microphone is on mute at the moment. So, oh, perfect. Yes. Sorry. Just wanted to jump on to say that. I'll jump back out
Sorry
again.
for that. No, thanks a lot for that. Uh, So even though we are a very young B school, we have still built up a formidable alumni network over the last 2 decades, and we now have 11,500 plus alums across our PGP suite of programs, of which 90% of them are from the PGP program. Around 21% of our alums are based overseas in 60 plus countries across 400 plus cities, and we have 14 alum chapters now, of which nine are domestic and five are international. Already 550 plus of our LMs are in top CXO and leadership roles, and 600 plus of our LMs have their own family businesses, or they are entrepreneurs. And 61% of our LMs are part of the top five prominent industries of technology, consulting, finance, e-com, and healthcare. And one thing about the ISB LM network is that your learning at ISB never stops. Even when you graduate from ISB, you're still part of a network where you can be part of any of the special interest groups, 11 special interest groups which we have. And these SIGs organize events, learning events from the LMs, mentorship events, networking events, where you can be part of the SIG related to your industry, your area, and keep learning from the ISB network. Okay, coming to career opportunities. So the PGP program at ISB is known for providing its participants a quantum shift in their careers. By what do I mean by that? So if you look at the statistics here in terms of this Venn diagram, 79% of the cohort last year had a functional shift. For example, people who came in with a marketing background moved into finance or operations. Around 78.5% of the cohort has had industry shifts. For example, people who came in from an automotive industry or metals and mining moved to banking or consulting, and 65.9% of the cohort had both a functional and industry shift. So that's the kind of opportunities which we help create for our cohorts in terms of transitioning into the careers of their choice. So in terms of lateral roles, we had around 83% offers were made in lateral roles, at least one level above entry level roles, and around 9% offers were made in leadership roles, which are at least vice presidents and above. And as I had mentioned earlier, we are ranked third globally in salary growth, wherein it was 173% increase in average outgoing salary versus incoming salary of the cohort. Look at some of our recruiters, and we are very strong in consulting and technology area, but we also have a huge depth in terms of our other functions. So you pick a function, banking or media or e-com, and you will find that we have companies from that area recruiting from the ISB campus, and you get all the students have an offer even before they graduate, and are and they join their offers immediately after the companies immediately after joining, graduating from Indian School of Business. Now we come to the final part of this presentation on how to apply and what are we looking at. So there are three modes of entry. One is direct entry, which is for people who have at least 2 years of work experience. They have completed the undergraduate degree. They can come and join directly and apply to PGP through the online portal which we have. Our next option is early entry option for people with 0 to 2 years of work experience. So even if you don't have 2 years of work experience, you can still apply to PGP, will be considered, and will make you a deferred of admission if you are found suitable. That is, you can only join after you complete 24 months of work experience as on the class start date. Which and finally, there is also an option for people who are currently in their uh, final year or pre-final year of the undergraduate or postgraduate programs, wherein you can join us through a young leaders program, which is again a deferred admission provided to students, and they can join after they complete 20 months of work experience post their completion of their academic degrees. Now, how do we evaluate candidates? So we have a holistic profile-based evaluation where we look at 5 or 6 parameters. We look at your academic credentials, work experience, your test score, both either GRE or GMAT, and online GMAT or GRE will also do. We look at your awards and achievements, your essays which you write as part of the application, and a letter of recommendation from one of your seniors at work. In terms of the application process, I just want to give a brief overview once again. The application is fully online. You can go visit our website and fill the application, where you'll be required to enter your academic details, your employment details. You'll be required to write 2 essays and submit a letter of recommendation. To fill the application form, the essentials are you need a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, a work experience of at least 2 years, and a GMAT or a GRE. For this year, the timelines are the round one deadline for ISB's PGP is September 12, 2021, We'll be taking applications for round 1 by this date. The round 2 and round 3 deadlines will be displayed on our website in a couple of weeks. So that's all I had as part of the formal part of my presentation, and I'll now take questions from you. And in case I'm not able to take any of your questions today, please note down these touch points. You can reach out to us on any of these touch points as you feel comfortable, and we'll be happy to take answer your queries there as well. We're also going to start a official PGP thread on the GMAT Club, and you can also join that in the next couple of days. We'll be making an announcement on that as well. Uh, so yeah, that's all from my side. Over to you, Linda.
Thanks a lot, Amit. Thanks a lot for that presentation. It was brilliant. So we've got a ton of questions that have come through, which is brilliant. I've just been looking at them come through via the YouTube stream. So the way we're going to handle it is that we're going to go via YouTube and what's come pre-submitted. Before I start looking through, I guess, is there anything that you want to add, Jibbi, to what's been said already before we head on into the questions?
No, I guess Amit has summed it up quite well. And what he said, that we officially will be having our own official GMAT club thread as well. This is for all of the candidates here to get the right information rather than getting misled. Sometimes what happens is they might get wrong information. So we will be present on the platform to give you the correct information, and also we'll be also asking students to share their experiences with you on that forum.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so we can jump right into the questions. So the first one that we have is, this was one of the pre-submitted questions. So tips for reapplicants who were waitlisted but were unsuccessful. What can be done to enhance their profile?
Yeah, so reapplicants, especially those who are waitlisted but not able to make it this year, what I want to tell you all is that you have come so far in a very competitive year, and you were on the verge of being part of the cohort this year, but you just missed out on the last step. And for all such candidates, we'll be happy to get in touch with you and give you of the feedback from your last year's application, and give you tips on personalized tips on how to apply for this year. So for all of you, I'll say that don't miss out on applying this year, because you have almost made it. And reach out to us if you want any more, if you want a personalized feedback from us, and our team will be happy to do that for you.
Linda, you're on mute.
Technical issues again. Thank you, Jibbi. So jumping to questions from YouTube, there's two which are quite related to work experience. So the first one is, they're looking to Mohit's looking to understand prospects for higher experience for people coming from more experience, so 14 years plus. If you've already got your MBA goals sorted, I know that you guys mentioned, is it a 4.6 year average profile? And obviously that ranges between 2 to 20. So I guess they're just wondering, how realistic is it?
Yeah. So what I want to mention about the stats is that, as you rightly said, the range is 2 to 20 years old, although the average is 4.5 years. But if you look at the cohort size at ISB, it is 900 plus every year. So, and if you look at people above 8 years of work experience, it's around 28 to 30% every year. And if you take 900 candidates and 28 to 30%, it's around 250 to 200 candidates who are above 8 to 9 years of work experience. So definitely, a lot of people with work experience come to us. As long as you have your post MBA goals sorted, ISB is a place for you to be in. Of course, people with higher work experience need to be sure of what they want to do, what they want to get out of the 1 year at ISB. And if they are aware of that, I think ISB is a place for you to be in. And we also, as I mentioned, have the senior executives club at ISB, where the placement team works closely with them to know their career aspirations and get them opportunities according to their aspirations.
Thanks a lot. Another question that's a bit similar in terms of work experience. So what opportunities are available for people with 8+ work experience with respect to the job opportunities post the MBA program?
Jibbi, you want to take that question?
Sure. So most of the part Amit has already answered. Now, what happens is, apart from the regular career opportunities which candidates get, be it from any work experience stream. Uh, Now, for 8+ years of experience, we have a senior executive club in which the career support services team, they will be individually in touch with these candidates, and they will map their aspirations and what is the career path which they want to opt for. And because they will be having specific and very narrow requirements in terms of what career progression they are looking for. So based on that, our career advancement services team, they will map their job descriptions, their requirements with the industries out there and with the recruiters, and they'll get those specific recruiters on board. So candidates with 8+ years of experience do not have to worry about what kind of roles they might get in. Whatever they're aspiring for, they can be rest assured, they can rest assured that they will find those kind of opportunities at ISB.
I think that's great to hear. So a question coming from the pre-submitted group. How do placements at Hyderabad and Mohali campus differ in terms of companies that come or in terms of the roles that the companies are offering?
So there's no difference whatsoever. So placements at ISB are organized centrally. So it's usually at one campus where all the companies come for recruiting, and all the students also gather at that particular campus for the placements. So it could be either at Hyderabad or at Mohali. And if it is at Hyderabad, then all students from Mohali will fly down to Hyderabad and vice versa. And the recruiters who come to recruit students are not aware of which campus you're from, and neither are they will they ask you that. For them, you are as good, you are ISB students and not ISB Hyderabad or ISB Mohali student. So there's absolutely no difference in campus in terms of the roles or companies, or even the process across the two campuses.
Thanks for clarifying that. Another one. So can you tell us about the opportunities that applicants who don't have a tech background and who want to convert to more tech strategy roles, what kind of opportunities exist for these people?
Okay, so at ISB we have among the most diverse profiles in terms of tech versus non-tech. So if you look at this year's cohort, around 57 are from the technical background, 43% are from the non-tech background. Well, that's a which very high percentage, at least for the in the Indian context. And so it's not about which background you come from; it's about what skill sets you bring to the table. So even people who come in from tech background or non-tech background, they have to evaluate their skill sets, how transferable are those skill sets to different contexts, and what skill sets they build up at ISB, and those things will determine what roles they'll end up eventually at the placement process. For example, somebody who comes in from a commerce background and has worked at a auditing firm, or at a consulting firm, can
Mhm.
also after gaining experience at ISB or majoring in finance, or maybe in strategy, can look for consulting roles or finance roles. There's no cap on that.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So going back into the YouTube questions, Arnav asks, how difficult is it to get an interview invite if the candidate is qualified for stage 2 of the YLP?
Okay, so if you have qualified for the stage 2 of YLP, you have already cleared one stage. So you already cleared the part where your ACADS, your extracurriculars and others have been factored in. Now, what is important is getting a good GMAT or a GRE score, test score, and that will determine that, along with your overall profile of your ACADS will be added into your score, and that will determine your interview invite. So now
Plus
the
the
only thing,
evaluation and recommend
yes,
evaluation and essay.
essays, yeah. So now the only thing left for you is to focus on your GMAT, the two essays which you need to write, which are very important, and the profile evaluation which is to be done. That will help determine your qualification for the interviews.
So this next question is kind of quite specific, but I want to use it, I guess, as a jump off point to a more generic question. So Anna S asks, says that she didn't make it this year after being called for interview. and how she could improve her chances with a GMAT score of 700 and work experience of 4.9 years. And I guess to expand on that, I guess what does ISB look for in a candidate? What makes a candidate competitive when applying for the school?
Right. Right. So, Anas, your specific question, I'll maybe we admission teams can reach out to you later and answer a question. But what I'll answer here is, what do we look for in a candidate when we evaluate them, and how a candidate can increase his or her chances of getting a call from a final call from the ISB. So at ISB, we look at 5 key factors: your ACADS, your work experience, your test scores, the essays, and the letter of evaluation from one of your seniors. And all these 5 factors are fed into an algorithm which generates a profile score for the candidate. So the profile score is something which will determine whether you get called for interview or not. So depending upon a cutoff for profile score, we call all the people above the cutoff for interviews, where the LMs will interview you and give you an interview score, interview rating. Then we add the profile rating and interview rating together, and that becomes your overall rating for the purpose of making the offers to candidates. So here, if you look at it, you can there are 5 key things you can work on. If your GMAT score is 700, then maybe work on your essays, and maybe work on maybe representing work experience better, because ACADS is something which is already cast in stone. You cannot go back and change it, but that also is one of the factors.
Thank you very much. So coming to the application process, is there a difference between round 1 and round 2, or can candidates just expect exactly the same process regardless of the round that they're applying to?
Sure. So Jibbi, you want to take that?
Sure. So technically, there is no difference between round 1 and round 2, except for one thing, that in round 1 we have 100% scholarship opportunities available. In round 2, there won't be 100%, but you'll have 75, 50, 25% of scholarships available. Now, from an operational point of view, logistics point of view, if you see why we have divided, applications into different rounds, is because we receive tons of applications. Now, if all those applications we are to evaluate in a single go, in just one go, operationally we won't be able to conduct so many interviews. So that is why we have divided into 2 rounds, so that operationally it is also feasible for us. Plus, candidates also we also do justice to candidate results as well. Otherwise, the results will also take a long time to be announced.
Thank you for that. So a question on the GMAT. Does ISB put particular weight on the AWA or IR section of the GMAT? And if so, how much roughly would you say it was?
So we usually do not disclose the weightages of our different components, whether it's GMAT or ACADS or other things. But what I can say is that last year, since there was no AWA or in the online version of the GMAT, so we took a proxy for that from the other parts. But yeah, so we do not have a weightage. We cannot disclose a weightage or the for a particular section of GMAT.
Thank you. In terms of the interviews, so if a candidate does make it through to the interview round, is there feedback given, regardless if their candidate is successful or unsuccessful?
Yes. So yes, we will be giving feedback to candidates who want to have feedback for applying to ISB next year, or even if they want to feedback just in to improve themselves. We'll be reaching out to you sometime in the first week of July with an expression of interest on whether you want a feedback on your last year's application or not. And if you can register, if you register for it, admissions team member will reach out to you and provide you feedback from your interview round over a call.
Perfect. Yeah, I think I saw another question regarding that. So I think it's killing 2 birds with 1 stone there. So our next question comes from Saganda. And the question is, I guess in light of COVID, it's been challenging for every business school, including yourselves, I'm sure. So how did ISB manage the program for current students and incoming students during the pandemic? And how does ISB plan to apply these learnings for the coming year?
Yeah. So in fact, ISB was the first B school, especially in India, to react to the changes happening due to pandemic. And last year, when the pandemic happened, we gave an option to all our students. Although by the time we had already passed the dates for withdrawal, we got given option for all our students to defer the admission by a year if they so choose to do so. And quite a few people also took advantage of that particular opportunity which we gave them. And we also came up with something called a digital head start module for the candidates. So we realized that there will be some time at least before we are able to start classes on campus, making do with all the requirements of social distancing and other things. So we came up with a customized platform wherein we tweaked our program, and we came up with this 10-week digital head start module which incorporated various components, not just academic but also societal projects, leadership development, and co-curricular activities. So this 10-week digital head start module was meant not just for the pandemic times, but also continues for the subsequent years. So one thing we have learned from this pandemic is that, going forward, it's not going to be fully physical even when things get back to normal. We are all going to be working in a hybrid format, at least for the foreseeable future. And to prepare our students for that world, the digital head start module is something which we foresee continuing in the subsequent years as well. And it is not just in response to pandemic, but also in response to the changing world and the new normal which we foresee.
Thank you very much. It's great to hear, I guess, the response and how, in a way, going through the pandemic has actually helped, address areas that, could be improved in the program and give candidates, I guess, that head start, like you said, because
Sure.
it does help before kind of like hitting the ground running, so to speak, when you get to school. I guess we've got time for one more question. So did ISB receive a higher than usual number of applications for the year 2021? And was there a high level of competition?
So I think people who applied last year would be aware of that. Yes, the competition was higher last year. Uh, and the application, so by that effect, applications also would have been higher last year. How many and exactly how much is something which I think no B school will disclose in a public platform. But yes, I can tell all the candidates who applied last year that you were part of a year which, you can pat yourself. Even if you made it to the waitlist stage or the interview stage, you have done really well.
Thank you very much. Let me quickly get this banner off. So I think that is us for now. I don't know if either of you want to make any closing comments before I close the session.
Jibbi, you want to go ahead?
So yeah, I just would want to say one thing. Don't self-reject yourself. You know, you're going to apply. There are certain things which you cannot go back and change as part of your application. But there are a lot of sections in your application in which you can showcase your best self. And for example, your extracurriculars, your awards, your achievements, and so on. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Your awards, achievements, your evaluation, your work experience, all these things you can showcase, right? It doesn't mean that if you have scored less, let's say in your GMAT or a GRE, that is a disadvantage for you. No, since we do an overall profile based shortlisting, you have an equal opportunity to counterbalance for that in all the other sections of your application. So my point again is, do not self-reject yourself, give in your best, and let us do the part which we are known for. That is shortlisting you. All the best.
Thank you for that. Those great words of wisdom, Jibbi. And I want everyone to kind of join me in saying the biggest thank you to both Amit and Jibbi for taking the time out today to give us an insight into the MBA program at ISB. I'm sure we've all learned something very valuable during this session, and wish you all the best of luck to those applying to ISB. Another mention, again, I know there was a ton of questions that were coming through, a ton of great questions, and I know we did not get a chance to answer every single one. So there will be a Zoom session later on today, 10 a.m. Pacific time. So please dial into that session to get those questions answered. And I'm sure both Amit and Jibbi will echo the fact that they'll be open for questions if you've got any regarding the MBA application process at ISB.
Sure.
one more mention, please thumbs up and like this video if you like it. If you don't like it, thumbs down, that's fine. Anything that can help us do a better job and deliver better content to you, because we're here to support you guys who are going through this MBA application journey. So we're here to support you. If you like what we do, thumbs up. If you don't like what we do, thumbs down. We won't be offended. So again, thank you so much for joining us today, guys. We really appreciate it. And
Thank
to
you.
everyone dialing in, have a great rest of the day.
Thanks for the opportunity, Linda.
Thanks, it was a
Thanks,
pleasure
Jibbi.